Hey everybody, it's Karen from Waterfall Acrylics. How are you? Happy 100th video. This is actually take 2. I posted number 100 earlier this evening. I wasn't a painting, and it turned out that I had my checkbook out on my counter, and everyone could see my name and address and account number and all the good stuff that a bad guy would love to have. So thank you to all. A dozen of you or so contacted me within the hour and let me know, and I took the video down real quick and let my bank know. Nothing's happened, so I think we caught it in time, but thank you all so much. So deleted that one, and I just wanted to take 15-20 minutes and show you how you can go ahead and embellish your paintings with Copic markers. So I'll do it every once in a while, not that often, because I kind of, a pour is a pour, and I usually get to varnishing and resining them. And I will say up front that I didn't get to say in the last video, what I'm about to show you works best if your pouring medium recipe is something with just glue or Floetrol rather than a true pouring medium. So if you're using, for example, straight Liquitex pouring medium or straight GAC 800, those surfaces tend to dry nice and smooth and glossy, and the markers don't adhere to them. Whereas paintings like this that was done with Floetrol or just plain water, or even glue in water or glue Floetrol in water, or maybe one of my recipes that's a whole hodgepodge, as long as it's not a straight pouring medium recipe that makes it very smooth and plasticky and shiny, you'll be able to do what I'm about to do. So let me get you down on this canvas and show you what we're working on. So I'm gonna try to get this as low as possible. So let me grab a sample. So way before I discovered acrylic pouring, I was into doing abstract art with markers and pen and ink, little weird things like this, where I would, draw a little picture and then take my Copic marker and, play around, or things like this, little doodles that I would color. So I have about, I counted them, I have 134 Copic markers, and that I've collected over actually a couple years, because they are $8 each. So you do the math. So I always wait until they were on sale or had a coupon and got them 50 or 60% off, and would buy 1 or 2 at a time until I built up my collection. These things are awesome because you can use these for alcohol ink projects. There's they have another version of this that's refillable, that you can add alcohol and do alcohol inks with. This is their traditional markers. One end is the fine point, that's a little soft, and the other end is more like a traditional marker like this. They are alcohol based, so particularly if you use it on a canvas such as this and you make a mistake, like a big mistake that your blender can't get out, take a little bit of alcohol on a paper towel, give it a dab, it'll come right up. So that's a nice thing. Now, if you're gonna do this, I recommend there's, get a starter pack, or just get your black and your shades of gray. Now, what I was doing for this painting here is I wanted to go into certain areas and give it a little more, have a little more concrete lines, a little more definition, to depict that this is indeed flowers of some sort, or leaves, but just so they were a little more defined in certain areas. And to do that, particularly the gray areas, I pulled out my gray markers. Now, the ones I have here, when you buy gray Copic markers, they come in 3 sets of colors. They're usually numbered 0 through 8. So for this set of gray in my hand, it has N on it, on the end, so you know. And N is for neutral gray. So just your regular gray. They also come in cool, which is more your graphite gray colors. And they also come in warm, which is more sepia based. For this, I'm just going to use the neutral, and I had this one color here, number RV. So that's my red violet, number 69. It's called Peony. It's a really good match for colors and the red violet I used in my painting. And then I have a couple of zeros. And whoops, where'd they go? C1, that's a cool tone 1. It's really light, so I got that out. And there's my N0 super light as well. And then a couple zeros. These are my blenders, my blending tools. So all I'm going to do for this particular painting, I thought it was a good one to embellish a little bit on, is find areas where I wanted to keep it looking natural. The idea is that someone looking at this painting would not be able to spot where you took a marker to it. So I've just been picking areas and making fine lines and blending them in just to give a little more definition and perhaps a little more depth. So I did a bit to the big wispy one up here where I went in with my marker and just kind of gave some depth and some shadow to some of the wiggle lines to give it defined movement and some shadowing. And this area down here too in particular, I've gone in and created, this is the gray one that I did. Remember I like scraped off the red and then I added this gray. This is like a gray flower here, and I wanted to make this look a little more defined because it's so soft and there really isn't any of the peony color right there. The gold I'm really not going to touch with, and I'm definitely not going to mess with any of the black areas because it's just too stark. You can see down here in some areas maybe you'll be able to tell where I've embellished a little bit. But the idea is to have it look very, very natural. And these markers are awesome for that. So typically when you paint, you start with the darkest color first and then go light. For this, you can almost do, well, you can do the opposite, because you can take your blending tool and the lower number to help blend. So I'm going to start with my N4 gray and that's another N4. Find my N0. This is my blending tool, and I couldn't lay my hands on N2. Oh, there it is. Speak of the devil. Huh, never mind. So I have my 4-2 and 0, and then my blending tool. And then all I do is to pick an area, starting with my 4, and I use the softer point end. And let me find a spot, because I've done a couple already, and I did a bunch in the first version of this video where I was touching it up. So let me see where I can go and just add a little more, which might be, this one has some really nice lines in it already. I don't think there's much to do at all. This one has the lines that are defined by that color. And then let me look up here. I think most of it's going to be right up in here. So I'm going to work on this section right here. I've already gone in right here, and you can tell if you look at the previous video when I showed the finished result. This definitely did not have this tulip look to it with the interior part and an exterior part right here. That was me in my shading in the first iteration of this video. But I think I'm going to do something right along this here. There needs to be a better definition between these two petals here. So what I'm going to do is, there's already a line where I must have blown the paint that started up here with the gray. So hopefully my hand doesn't get too much in the way. I'll try my best not to do the lefty upside down. I'll come over here and do it. So I'm just going to grab that line a little bit and give that take it up a little higher. kind of like that. And then right here, let's make like a little petal fold down. And it looks like a really hard line. And this is where I can take my N2 or my N0 and go right up to that edge and kind of pull at it and pull away from it. And it'll make that edge softer and thinner and a little more natural looking. And I'll take it upwards in the same direction as the blow dryer had gone. Kind of like that. And then down. And a little thinner there. It looks a little softer already. I'm going to grab my N0. Oops, wrong end. They have a nice band that tells you on these two which one is the soft end. So it always has a gray band, so you're not like, which end is it? So just to help you out. They're the bomb. These markers are just absolutely a dream to work with. Because they are alcohol based, when you use them on other substrates like just even cardstock or vellum paper or just watercolor paper, unlike regular markers, they don't leave streaks. Let me show you. So this is just, I think this is watercolor paper from when I used to do watercolors. If you take a traditional marker, you know, like a kid's marker or whatever, and you color it in, it would leave those lines like this in between and wouldn't blend. These you can take, and when you do this, there's no lines. It's just a, you know, solid wall of color. It's really an awesome thing. So that's why they're really, really popular. So where was I? Softening this up a bit. Let's see where I went out of line right there. I don't know if you can see that. It's just like a little tiny mark. That's where I can take my blending tool. And I can use my blending tool to clean that up. And just by rubbing on it, it'll disappear. And I can take my blending tool as well and kind of soften it up so there's not that hard line that shows my shading too. So there I have a really nice, very, very thin, soft gray line that I'm betting if I didn't demo this to you, you would never know that that was a marker. I'm going to take my 0 and come up here and just very softly. The areas that already have some paint color, I'm just going to go and like augment those a little bit because this is a lighter shade of the black that mixed with the white in the painting, and do that where it looks very, very natural. And now it's starting to look like some sort of flower petal. So that's all I've been doing. Other little areas, like maybe this little wispy tip. I try not to mess with wispies too much because I want to keep them as a wispy. There's not too much else to do because I've done a lot of it. I can go maybe, let me stare at it. So I'm really happy with that now because it looks like something. I'm happy with this. I kind of have a blank spot right here, but I don't know if I can do a lot with it. That might be something I could do with the peony colors. Hold on one second. Let me get my, I'm going to use the this shade, but let me get the corresponding lighter shades. I have my giant bag of markers here. That sound is all the markers coming out of the bag. All right. So I have two sets here. This peony is an RV, and I have these all organized by their categories. So all the reds are here, all the red violets are here. So this is RV 69. Here's RV 66, which is going to be lighter. And for shading purposes, I'm going to grab this RV 00 called Water Lily, which is a really, really, really faded pink, kind of like, well, let me move this back, kind of like what you see in here. So let's just see if we can do something in here a little bit. I'm only going to need the smallest amount. A little goes a long way when you're shading. But maybe just something in here. I'm just going to make like a little V there, and maybe let's add a little V of color in here. Kind of like that. Hopefully you guys can see that. Try to get as close as I can and come down where my hand is. So I have a little mark here and a little V here. I started off with my darkest. I'm going to skip my middle one and go right to this super light pink. And kind of use this as my blending tool. We'll see how, it might be too bright. We'll see. If it's too bright, we'll go through with my blending tool. Yep, it's too bright. It's too pinky. So, 00. So I'm going to try another one. I have RV10 that looks like it's an even lighter shade. And let's see if this is a better fit for what we want to do. Okay, just kind of bring that up there. And take this up here, all the way up where it makes that squiggly mark. Just so there's another little tiny pop of color right there. Something like that. And then I'm just going to take my blending tool. And as soon as I find it, here it is, number 0. And then kind of fade those out a little bit so it looks natural. There. I'm going to leave that one pop of color in the corner though. Kind of leave that there. And just pull the color away from the edge and up into whatever kind of looks like a little tulip to me. And kind of pull that up. Something like that. That's a nice little pop of color. I like that so much. I'm going to do it along this one edge because it just defined that little section. Just that little tiny bit of color. So let me go back to my light pink here and just kind of follow the edge of the light pink that's already here on the paint. Kind of like that. And maybe right here. Like I said, nothing crazy. I'm not going to fill it in. I'm going to leave it white. Leave it have a little bit of negative space. Just enough of an outline that a person's imagination would take it away and figure out that that's a flower right there. And let me pull this out just a little bit. And yeah, that looks great. Gonna leave that here. Actually, I'm thinking I could probably go a little darker. This is pretty dark here. Try not to overdo it. But let me take my RV 69 and just add a little bit there. And I'm just gonna put like a point there. A little high contrast area. Let's use this to pull it out. A little darker right there. Kind of like where the hair dryer in certain sections where it's all faded and then there'll be a really crisp line at the end from where the paint stopped moving. That's what this reminds me of right here. Got my color there, so let me just blend that all in. And then I'm gonna hang it up because there's not a lot. I don't want to do too much. I think the painting's pretty much fine the way it is. So, kind of gonna leave it. But this I just kind of gave a base to. There. And then up here. Good enough. Got another little flower there, and we got a flower here, and one here. So I wish I had a before and after picture to show you, so you could see the difference. But there's definitely some separation there at the bottom of this picture. Let me bring this up high so you can see the whole thing. Where am I? There I am. Oh, it's weird to see me on camera with like another color besides black too. I'm all crooked. That's okay. But yeah, so that's the top. I don't think you'd be able to tell anything I've done. It was all very subtle. But like this hard line here, I didn't do that. That was there. The stuff I did on this one was more of a delineation right here. And then there's the work. Most of the work I've done is all in here, in this middle section, right here. That looks really nice now. So yeah, just something you can do that's, you know, doesn't require a lot of effort. Less is more. So I know this was supposed to be the big celebratory video. We'll have to make it 101 because I was inspired to show you guys that today. And the next one we will circle back to a flip and drag in honor of my first video on YouTube. So thanks again for all the love and support, and for those that contacted me. You guys are the best. That was awesome because I usually don't play these back and watch myself. Once is enough. So thank you for that, and I'll see you guys in a couple days. Take care. Bye.